Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll be an A for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Cortex, that's the outer region. That's where the follicles develop, which these are. Okay. Inner region, medulla, no follicles. Blood vessels, nerve fibers, connective tissue, and so on. All right. Now the very outermost layer, which you can see here in pink, it's a layer of simple cuboidal epithelium, which unfortunately is called the germinal epithelium, which suggests something's developing there, but it's not. Just deep to that, you can see kind of a little tan layer here. That's actually the capsule, which is called the tunica albuginea. Same name we apply to the male capsule around the testes, all right? All right, now you need to know the different kinds of follicles. These are the smallest and most numerous. When a female is born, she has all of these she'll ever have. Many actually degenerate before she goes through puberty. These are called primordial follicles. You can see a bunch over here. Okay. And you have them by the hundreds of thousands, which obviously mean more than you ever need, because each one has a very primitive developing egg cell within it. Okay. When the woman goes through puberty and becomes sexually mature, her menstrual cycle begins, then every month some of these primordial follicles will develop into primary follicles, which are larger multicellular structures within which a single egg cell, again, is developing. Then some of these will develop into secondary follicles. These are larger than the primaries, and they also have a fluid-filled cavity, which doesn't really show here. I'll show you that on the slides tomorrow. Okay. And then usually only one continues development and becomes a mature Graafian follicle with a very large cavity, and the cavity is called the antrum. And that then eventually, when it's mature, ruptures and releases the egg cell here, which is not mature, along with some cells that surround the egg, which are called the corona radiata. Now the cells of the follicle
Is that in
called,
there? We didn't have to know that. Okay.
Yeah, it's on there.
The corona radiata.
Corona radiata.
Okay.
It's
You look
beside
there.
something else.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's by the granulosa cells of the follicle.
Okay. That's
So
okay.
the follicle cells are collectively referred to as granulosa cells, but those that surround and stay with the egg, the granulosa cells, are called corona radiata. Corona means crown, so like around the head.
Okay.
Okay, like remember that secondary follicle you looked at way back in the lymph nodes? That dark area is the corona, surrounding what? The germinal center.
Right.
Okay. All right, so this is corona radiata. And here, now the egg is called a secondary oocyte. It's not mature yet. Okay, it's like on that thing over there. And it won't mature until it is fertilized. It's not fertilized, it simply degenerates, passing uterine cavity, and is expelled with the menstrual flow, which is mostly much of the endometrium that goes. And since a lot of blood vessels break, that's why there's a lot of blood flow to the menstrual cycle. Okay. Now, once this has released the egg, then becomes this, which is called the corpus hemorrhagicum. You don't even know about the name of that. But under the influence of hormones, namely luteinizing hormone, it develops into this, which is the corpus luteum. That's a major female sex hormone producing structure. It produces estrogens, which the developing follicles are producing. Also produce a lot of progesterone. The estrogens help to prepare the body, female body, for fertilization, or for pregnancy rather, should it occur. It builds up the lining of the uterus. It builds up the mammary glands, preparing for milk secretion. And also then, the progesterone sort of puts the finishing touches in that and finishes the development of the endometrium and maintains that endometrium. So that's the corpus luteum. And it'll persist for about a week and a half or 10 days if there's no fertilization. But then because the LH levels fall off, we went through that in the menstrual cycle today, this will degenerate. When it degenerates, the progesterone levels fall off, since the progesterone is maintaining the endometrium, and the endometrium degenerates and sloughs off, and you got the menstrual flow. If fertilization does occur, then this is maintained by another hormone, HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin, which is on your menstrual cycle hormone. Yeah, and this will persist for about the first trimester, about the first 3 months of pregnancy. At which time then it'll be replaced by the placenta, which now is a major source of female sex hormones that maintains the pregnancy. But for the first 3 months, this has to be functioning. Otherwise, you have a miscarriage or spontaneous abortion can occur because the endometrium will slough off, and with it goes the embryo. Now, in any case, when this thing stops development, it shrivels up, got some scar tissue, and becomes the white body, the corpus albicans. So this is the
that's
remnant.
if it's not fertilized?
Well, it occurs eventually. If it's not fertilized, it'll be after about a week and a half or 10 days. Corpus luteum becomes the corpus albicans. If it is fertilized, then it's about 3 months eventually this occurs. So eventually this is going to become that.
Right.
And that's the scarred remains. Yeah, the remnants of the corpus luteum. No longer functional.
Okay.
So theoretically, you look at a woman's ovary and say all the corpus albicans, and you can tell how many ovulations she's had.
Oh.
At least theoretically. That
Right.
Okay, because for each one we got a corpus luteum, which then becomes a corpus albicans.
Okay.
Okay? But like I say, she'll continue with this process as long as she's in a reproductive period from when she goes through puberty until they shut down at menopause. And at menopause, she's shutting down production of eggs, there's no more ovulations, and she's also shutting down production of female sex hormones. And that's why she goes through the so-called change of life, and you got pronounced symptoms with it, you know, the mood swings, pronounced mood swings, the hot flashes, the night sweats, and so on. Because it's like I say, it's like a drug addiction. You're
Right.
going off the drug,
And
and your
you're no
body's
longer-
craving that estrogen, and it doesn't have the estrogen like it used to have, so it, you know, it punishes
Goes
you.
nuts.
It's like trying to break the smoking habit.
Mm-hmm.
You suffer too because your body craves that nicotine. You
I
develop
haven't smoked for over